Gurus Vaishnavamsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahugana Raghunadanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Padasiga Sakanvitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Manta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Brindavaneshwari Vrishabhana Sute Devi Pranamami Hare Priya Vanchakalpatarubhescha Krupa Sindhubhyev Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaha. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining this morning. We will continue the Madhurya Kadambini, third shower. Can you all see my screen? Hare Krishna, can you see the thumbnails also on the bottom when I share it? No.
You can only see the video, Prabhu.
Okay. Oh, you're not seeing my presentation, Prabhuji?
No, Prabhu. Only the YouTube video one.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, this one will be good.
Yeah, got it, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So we started with shower 3 under the Nivrutti yesterday. As Mataji talk about, there are 4 type of anadas based on the origin, and we are continuing with the nama parada and seva parada. So aparada is something, that is contrary to devotion, loving worship. So aparada is a behavior. It both indicates and reinforces unloving feelings for Krishna. So nama aparada is aparada in the course of chanting the God's name, and here nama refers to represent all the 9 limbs of bhakti, shravanam to kirtanam, padasevanam, and all the 9 of them. And here holy name is the primary anga of 9. And seva aparada is in the course of serving the Krishna, and it's listed in Padma Purana that aparada falls into 4 categories. There is lack of purity, lack of respect, lack of endeavor, or lack of faith. So if you look at the seva aparada, how it is lack of purity, lack of respect, lack of endeavor, lack of faith, how different kind of aparadas fall into these categories. So if it's a lack of purity means, in the seva aparada, if somebody enters the temple without taking bath, unclean preparation of the prasad, worshipping in the anger, not in the right mood and right consciousness, these are all the aparadas one commits in the lack of purity. And the lack of respect is, one not being humble and not bowing in front of the deities, and using a not improper attire, not wearing the tilak. This kind of aparadas comes into lack of respect category. And lack of endeavor means, not laziness, doing for the sake of it, not observing the Ekadashi or other festivals, and neglecting the rules and regulations, just doing it quickly, and not following the interest and endeavor to really love the God and serve the God. And lack of faith is not following the scriptures, not having a faith in Krishna, or not having a um, um, love and attachment to Krishna. So these are the seva aparadas. And seva aparadas can be rectified by just chanting the holy name. And seva aparada is not a bigger offense, but one need to care for them, and not to do those aparadas. And nama parada, when it comes to nama parada, this is the majority of the offenses if people commit, Vaishnavas commit, and nama parada is of a severe nature, and mostly this in this context it is talked about the nama parada more than as seva parada. In the nama parada, as more, as I told, more serious repercussions than seva prada. Vishnu forgives, mistakes one makes in serving him, but if one offends him, you know, which is who is not different from his name, and it's not easy to get a forgiveness, because how can one forgive if you don't respect him and if you don't respect his name? So lack of purity here means approaching the Lord for fruits of karma and jnana. Lack of respect means not being humble, not bowing down. Um, and in the lack of endeavor means committing offenses on the strength of holy name. And lack of faith means considering the chanting just be an imagination and not having a love or attachment for the holy name. So here the remedy is taking the shelter of holy name and chanting continuously. So by continuously, endeavoring to express and internalizing our love attitude to the, Hari, Lord's name, one will automatically free from all this aparadha and will manifest the Bhava Bhakti. And in out of, even it's, if we go to the page 22, one may argue that not performing all angas of bhakti or performing them incompletely produces namaprada, but that is not so. For it is said, O Uddhava, because I have personally established it, the process of Nishkama Bhakti is beyond the gunas. Thus, even by starting and not completing the process, there is no destruction of results. The 10 syllables mantra, when chanted, gives perfection. This particular offense refers to performing acts of bhakti with the intention of committing sin. One hears criticism and atonement only where there is a inattention of committing sin. In Karma Yoga, there is criticism if some part of action is omitted or irregular, but in Bhakti, that is not so. Even ignorant living entities can very easily come to know the Supreme Lord if they adopt those means prescribed by Supreme Lord. The process recommended by the Lord is known as Bhagavata Dharma. So here in the Srimad Bhagavatam 11:29-20, you know, uh, it talks about the Bhagavad Dharma. Bhagavad Dharma means living according to the instructions of Supreme Lord, following the orders given by Supreme Lord, or one must understand one's relationship with the Lord and act accordingly. This is the Bhagavad Dharma. When somebody does follow the Bhagavata Dharma, uh, you know, uh, it uh, it is a higher than any other dharma, and it gives the results of real bhakti. And continue reading on the page 23. O king, one who accepts this process of devotional service will never be affected by pride. Even while running with eyes closed, he will never trip or fall. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 2, verses 34 and 35. So the above verse says that person possesses eyes but closes them. He not only moves but runs, still he does not fall down. This means that taking shelter of bhakti, knowing all the angas of bhakti, he omits to perform some of the angas as if ignorant of them, but does not incur sin or reverse for this, nor is he deprived of results. So here closing the eyes of running means, when somebody eagerly pursuing the goal does not result in the aparadha. So not so so Bhagavad Dharma is so confidential. So here in this verse 11 to 35, the essential point is, when the living entity surrenders to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he tells the Lord, my dear Lord, I'm most sinful, unqualified, and I've been trying to, forget you. Now I'm taking your shelter at your lotus feet. Whatever I process, my body, mind, words, I'm now offering to at your lotus feet. So please do with me as you like. So in that way, when we surrender unto the Krishna, he will protect and redeem such surrender living entity, bringing him back to home, back to Godhead. So here, the qualification of surrendering is so potent that even all other deficiencies in the other aspects of pious life, is protected by Lord Himself. And here one is so-called unalloyed devotion to Lord Hari does not take into account the regulations of the Shruti and Smruti and Puranas and Panchatantra. It is nothing more than a disturbance to the society. But on the other hand, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has stated that if devotee is executing the basic principles of Bhakti Yoga, Vaishnava should not be criticized for neglecting the secondary procedures. And to neglect the angas of bhakti out of enthusiasm is not an offense. And it's also mentioned that if the nama aparadas, when whether long-standing or recent, having been committed unconsciously, but their presence is indicated by the result, lack of advancement, the only recourse is to chant the name constantly. By that, steadiness in the bhakti will gradually be attained and offenses will be neutralized. If nama aparadha is committed in full knowledge, then the following points must be taken into account. So, so the main thing is, if one commit the offense knowingly, and that is a biggest offense. And if nama aparadha is committed in full knowledge, then we have to take into account, and there are 10 aparadhas against the holy name as mentioned in the Padma Purana. I think those are the ones we went through a few times in morning japa calls. And the main first one is the sadhuninda, is the disrespect for Vaishnavas, and this is the greatest offense. And one will fall down from their devotion, the taste of bhakti, if one who does this sadhuninda. And it has been compared to a hatimata, mad elephant offense, by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when one does this, the remedy is the repenting and falling at the lotus feet of Vaishnava and beg for the forgiveness. So that is the only way one can come out of this offense committed at the lotus feet of the Vaishnava. And falling at his lotus feet of the Vaishnava, satisfying him by offering the obeisances and praises and respects, one can get rid of the effects of this offense. So we today we covered the nama parada, seva parada, and how lack of purity, lack of respect, lack of endeavor, and lack of faith are the main reasons for doing these offenses, and how each one of them are related to these four aspects of aparadas. And even if one eagerly pursue the goal and and not following the rules, does not result in any aparada. And in nama aparada, committing knowingly is the biggest aparada. And out of those, the first one is the sadhuninda, disrespect for Vaishnavas, which is a great offense. And the remedy for this one is repenting and falling at lotus feet of Vaishnava and beg for the forgiveness. With that, we can stop here today, and we can start with the chanting.